Learning a new sport can be quite daunting and challenging, but initially you've probably had a lot of advice and guidance directing you on where to take your swimming. But what happens when you're ready to take that next step and go out and do some of your training on your own? Well, that's where we step in. We've got some sessions that are perfect for you to go and do on your own that are going to help with your stroke and your fitness and make sure it continues progressing. Presume nothing here, so I'm going to start by explaining exactly what a swim session looks like and how it is structured. And if you do come from another sport like running or any other sport really, then you will probably be familiar with the breakdown of a basic session and the fact that you have a warm-up, then the main bulk of work in the middle, often referred to as the main set, is finally followed by the cool down, and swimming is no different here. So when it comes to the swim warm-up, the idea is to help loosen the shoulders, get the joints moving, muscles warm, and raise that heart rate a little bit. And if you are swimming in a pool that's quite cold, it's also just going to make you feel more comfortable. And there is really no marker on the pace for your warm-up. So please don't go out too hard. You don't want to be using up all your energy in the warm-up, but you just want to make sure you're getting those benefits that I've already talked about. And if you do want to use some toys during the warm-up, then feel free to use a kickboard to isolate the legs or pull buoy to isolate the arms. But just make sure you don't do this straight away. You do some full stroke first. And if you're at the stage of being able to mix up your strokes, then that's a really nice thing to add into your warm-up as well. And then if you like, after the warm-up, before you start that main set, you could put in an interim, either technique or a build set. And they have the purpose of just helping you to mentally and physically get ready to really be able to finesse that main set when you get there. So for the build set, for example, you could do something like 4 lots of 50 meters, getting quicker every 50. So your final 50 is really quite hard. And this is going to get your cardiovascular system really working and also just get that feel of the water feeling strong. So when you come into the main set, you're going to be already up to speed, so to speak. But make sure you take rest between each 50 and you fully recover after that, so you're fresh to start that main set. And the alternative would be the technique work that I mentioned. So this helps dial in that correct form before you hit the meaty main set. So including some drills where you really focus on getting your stroke right and reminding yourself of the key points that might need some work. And you're then onto the main set. And we'll talk about the options and different emphasis these can have, but it should make up the largest part of your swim session. And as with any physical activity, you need to finish it with a cool down. And it doesn't really matter what this is, as long as it's super easy. But I'd suggest distance-wise, anything from 100 meters to 400. It's going to allow your heart rate to come back down and just your blood pressure to be good before you jump out of the pool. And if you can, it's a perfect time to add in some mixed strokes. So maybe a bit of breaststroke or backstroke, because it's just going to help open up the chest and really kind of stretch some of those muscles that maybe have got a bit tight through the session. In order to improve your swimming, you're going to need to work on your strength, your speed, your technique, and your fitness. And yes, you could combine all four, and sometimes in a session, you'll find naturally there's a crossover between them. But if you do go to the pool with a clear sort of purpose in mind, you'll find that you'll get much more out of your training session, and you'll see more of a linear style when it comes to your improvements. Now, the aerobic aim, the one that's looking at your fitness, is probably the most straightforward and is going to make up the biggest bulk of your training. So for this, you're trying to increase the meterage or the mileage of your overall swims, and it's building that real base fitness. And for this, if you're new to swimming, a good target overall would be around 2,000 meters to start. And you could break this down, so that would be, say, a 300-meter warm-up, and at the end of the session, around 100-meter cool-down, which leaves you with 1,600 meters as your main block. And you can then break this down into a session. We've got an idea or a suggestion for you here. Well, here we've got 4 sets of 4 100s, but if that's a bit much, you can break it down to starting off by doing 2 sets and then building up to 3 and finally 4. So take 10 seconds rest after each of those 100 meters. And once you've done 4, take a longer break. So between 30 and 60 seconds of total rest before you attempt the next block. And try to keep them all at a steady effort that's aerobic, so a pace that you can sustain throughout all of them. Alternatively, you could plow straight on with 16 times 100 meters, or again, you could start off with 8, then build it up to 10, 12, and so on, or even mix it into 400 meters. So that could be 2, then building up to 3, and then finally 4 lots of 400 meters when you're fit enough. But now you've got an idea of how to structure it and what sort of thing you're looking for. If you want a specific session plan with all of the details, why not check out one of our beginner session videos where we'll give you that pure breakdown and you can choose something that will work for you. Now, you can't do all of your swimming at one pace and expect to get faster. Yes, initially that might happen, but variety is going to be your friend. So it's just enabling your body to be aware of what it feels like to go faster. And once you get the fitness to catch up with it, you'll then be able to tap into that next gear. So as with any speed work, it's very much a focus on quality, not quantity. With the result, the sessions are going to be a bit shorter, but also you're going to have to prioritize making sure you've got plenty of rest. In order to go fast, you need to be really warmed up, like in any sport. So for this, the warm-up would need to be a little bit longer. So look at maybe 300 to 600 meters. Again, super easy, and mixing up the strokes. But then it's a really good idea to do some sort of build set, maybe a bit shorter or a bit sharper, just to get your body ready for that main set. So something like 8 lots of 25 meters, building from number 1 to number 4, and then again from number 5 to number 8, and taking around 15 seconds rest between each. And if after that you need to have a bit of recovery, do feel free to swim 50 or 100 meters easy, just to make sure that you're ready to really go in and nail the quality part of this next main set. Well, for the main set, the emphasis is going to be change of pace. So like I said, keep it short. An example would be a broken set of, say, 150 meters, when you make the middle 50 meters hard and it's easy either side of it. So let's say you can manage 4 times 150 meters, 50 meters steady, 50 meter hard, 50 meter easy. And note the difference between steady and easy. So that first 50 is just a little bit of tempo, but the final 50 is really easy, followed by 30 seconds rest. And you can progress this by adding a further sharper set. The shorter the distance, the more speed you should be able to find. So say 4 times 75 meters as 25 meters steady, 25 meters hard, and then 25 meters easy, followed by 30 seconds rest. And like I said, don't be afraid to do the easy part super easy, but do try and get that steady bit at the beginning just a little bit quicker than easy, because it's going to help lead you into the quality section. And after this main set, you might find you need a slightly longer cool down because your heart rate's going to be really high and you're probably going to be just quite hot and feeling like you need a little bit of a loosen off. But we can't forget about technique. If you spend hours ploughing up and down the pool, but with the wrong technique, you're soon going to hit a ceiling when it comes to your improvement. Now, like with all of the rest of the training, it's still want to follow a similar structure, but I'm not going to prescribe you specific drills because we'll all have different areas within our stroke that we need to work on. And as it is technique-based, here quality is even more of an emphasis. So make sure that you're not tired going into it and you're not getting too tired during. So the sessions will be quite short. But if you pick 2 or 3 drills which you know you need to work on, you can then place them into a session that looks a little bit like this. Well, an example after your warm-up would be 8 knots of 50 meters as 25 meters drill, 25 meters full stroke. And then have a nice 100-meter easy mixed stroke in between before you start 4 lots of 100 meters as 50 meters drill, 50 meters full stroke, followed by another 100-meter easy mixed stroke. And that might be enough, as concentration required for swimming technique can be quite demanding. And then we've got strength, but I'm only going to brush over this, as all of your swim sessions are going to contribute to your swimming strength within reason. And you can actually use the structure or similar structure to the aerobic session and just make a few tweaks. So, for example, adding in hand paddles or using a pull buoy. So a pull buoy basically goes between your legs and eliminates your leg kick, and therefore isolating your arms, making them work a bit harder, as well as actually helping with your body position. So there's a bonus with that. And then hand paddles are going to increase the surface area that your hand is pulling through the water, which is automatically going to make you work that much harder. But you might find you'll go faster, and you can combine the two as well. So you can play around with those and maybe try a session a little bit similar to this one. So a main session of up to 6 200 meters as number 1, full stroke, number 2, pulling with a pull buoy, number 3, pulling with a pull buoy and then paddles, and repeat that twice through if you can, and take 20 seconds rest after each. the idea of this video is to give you the idea on how to structure your sessions. I think you get the idea of the importance of the warm-up and where the warm-down fits, and how it can really benefit you by having a set main session with a real purpose. And this will not only make your swimming more enjoyable, but you'll get a lot more out of it. So whether you go and find a session similar to that, or you take some of these examples, feel free to play around with them to suit your swimming needs, and either try and remember that session in your head or write it down on something and take it to the pool, and you'll get a lot more out of that valuable time spent at the pool. And if you've got a favorite session, well, why not share it with us and other people can enjoy it as well? You can do that in the comments section below. And remember, do give us a like and click on the globe to subscribe.